another week. Can you believe it? It's still me, still Kirk. And can you believe this? I still haven't watched an episode of The Office since my last episode, which was last weekend. It's a new weekend. So I'm gonna do a weekend movie edition because I spent most of this weekend just watching movies and documentaries. Do you call documentaries movies? I do. Like if you say you saw a movie and you started explaining it, and it was a documentary, you think somebody get mad at you if like what you actually watched was a documentary, and they're like, you didn't watch a movie, you watched a documentary. If that happens to you, that's an indication that you should stop talking to that person. But yeah, it's a weekend movie edition. So let's get into what I saw. Going into this weekend, I wanted to watch Star Wars, the Han Solo movie, because it came out this weekend. I was like, I'll watch it. It's a new movie. I want to get in the habit of watching new movies. So I was getting pumped because the people at work were talking about it, and I was like, I'll go see it. But I was like, for some reason, with me, if there's a movie that comes out, especially when it's like already part of a franchise, I feel like I have to catch up since I'm so bad with movies. So I was like, let me watch some Star Wars movies to catch up. And I was like, and this is one of my biggest bugaboos, that The Last Jedi, the last proper Star Wars movie, I haven't seen. So I was like, let me watch that. And I watched it, and I realized something, that I'm not really a big Star Wars fan. Like all the current Star Wars movies, I've seen every Star Wars movie. I'll put it that way. I've never gotten to the cartoons or like the side stories in the books and in the comic books or anything like that. But I've seen all the movies. And Star Wars is something that lives beyond just the movies. The mythos of it is really huge. There's Star Wars everything. But watching this movie, The Last Jedi, I realized Star Wars is kind of blah to me. Especially compared to the other movie. I rewatched Infinity War this weekend just because I was like, I wanted, like, I've been watching YouTube videos about like secrets and theories and all this stuff. So I was like, let me watch it again to see if some stuff makes sense, and I come up with my own theories. And the movie's so amazing. And then I watched The Last Jedi, and I was like, I skipped it when I think it came out at Christmas time. It was just, I mean, there's a lot of action, and it looks beautiful, but it's just one of those things where I don't care about any of the characters. And then there's like boring comedy thrown in, and like cute characters, and Chewie's in there making noises, like, and Yoda shows up. Like, Star Wars to me starting to rely on the buzz of it to get it through like a story, and the story is just, but in Star Wars is always, with the exception to like the Han Solo movie, they're already talking about making more like the Han Solo, like a Yoda movie, a Boba Fett movie, and Rogue One, I think it was called. All the Star Wars movies don't stand alone. It's always in like a series. So one Star Wars movie is never the whole story. And I know a lot of movies like that now, but just watching that, and it doesn't stand alone. So you have to watch it expecting something else. Like, anytime there's a Star Wars movie, you have to expect something else. It doesn't stand by itself. That takes away so much from a movie, especially when you have to wait over a year for the next one. It made me realize I'm not a Star Wars fan. I'm not against Star Wars. I just don't have the same affinity for it. And I was like, it had put such a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, I don't really feel like seeing the Han Solo movie right away. I'll see it eventually, maybe on video at some point. But yeah, other than that, I said I watched Infinity War. Going back to what I started blabbering on about, documentaries on Netflix. A great place to watch I love documentaries, especially docuseries now. There's one called The Toys That Made Us. It's really good. They just came out with the second season that came out 2 days ago. And that's what caught my attention because I watched the first one. And it was really good, but it was kind of a letdown because the season is only 4 episodes. I mean, it's an hour long, but it's only 4 episodes. And they talk about the backstory of all these famous toy franchises. Like in the first season, they talked about G.I. Joe, Barbie, and I can't honestly remember the other one. So this season, they have 4 more episodes, and they talked about Transformers in the first episode, which is the backstory of that is really amazing. It started out as like a Japanese company, and they made something similar to what Transformers is known now as a toy line and a movie property, but much smaller. And it was really cool seeing how that became Transformers. They also did Star Trek, their toy line. It was funny watching that because they always compared it to Star Wars, which was kind of at the same time of how that toy line was so huge, but Star Trek, really had a really good toy line for, a show series and a movie series. And it made me think, like, I've never really got into Star Trek. I've seen a couple of the movies. I know I've seen Wrath of Khan. And watching the docuseries about the toys, I remember having, I can never say his name right, Geordie LaForge, LeVar Burton character from Star Trek. I had that toy that they showed, like, in there, him with the visor. But I never really watched Star Trek. And it's probably a show I'll go through. I don't know if it's online anywhere, if it's on Netflix or Hulu. I think at one point it was. I don't think it still is, but I'll have to look for that and see. Maybe that'd be a good show to talk about on here to get me to not watch The Office. And on that same docuseries, the next episode, they talked about Lego, which I think there was a full documentary on the story of Lego. So I remember seeing I knew some of the facts about Lego, like how they always went bankrupt and the early factory burned down. But that was really interesting. There was 4 episodes. The last one's about Hello Kitty. I haven't watched that one yet. Hello Kitty, something I never really got into. But it'll be interesting to see the story of that and how that came up, how that company came together. So staying on that docuseries about the toys, also on Netflix, there's one called Making Fun, the Story of Funko. Funko, the toy company, which is near and dear to my heart because, well, today alone, like, I went to the store and bought Funko Pops. Watching, like, the docuseries in the morning, I was like, let me go continue to be a giant nerd and go buy toys. And when I came home, like, I bought a bunch of Funko Pops at the different stores. And when I came home, I was, like, watching Netflix, and there was, like, that popped up, which is it was a really good documentary watching the story of that company that I've given so much money to over the years, and I probably still will. And they're in Washington. Like, the official Funko store is in Washington. I'm planning on going to that this year. If I do make it out to Washington, I will go to that store for sure. The only other thing I watched, other than more episodes of Seinfeld, actually right before recording, I was watching Seinfeld. One of my favorite episodes of all time was about to start. I was like, let me stop it so I can record this. In the last season, so my favorite episodes are in the last season, but this one is the one where Jerry, he was getting a free car, and they gave him like a van, like a passenger van that had the bed in the back. And George's father's, like, famous line, when he looked at it, he was like, "Gee, mama." I love the last season of Seinfeld. But only other thing I watched movie-wise was this movie called Masterminds. That's on Netflix. I remember when it came out in theaters. I guess it wasn't that popular. It went straight to video really quick. But it's one of those movies that I couldn't honestly tell somebody to watch because I didn't know they probably wouldn't like it. It's like one of those, I don't want to say bad movies, but like, okay, I'll say it's a bad movie, but I love it. It has like just weird stuff that makes me laugh because Zach Galifianakis is in it, which I absolutely love. Like, his is one part in the beginning that was, I guess, in the trailer when he's like putting a gun back in his like holster. that's in his back, and he accidentally goes off and he shoots himself in his butt. He just goes, it just grates my biscuits. Like stupid stuff like that I love. I have a terrible sense of humor. But yeah, Mastermind. It's not a great movie, but I love those weird off movies. But that's all I watch. Movie weekend. Still working on the next episode of the show I'm currently watching. I gotta watch. I think there are 4 seasons of this show. It's kind of hard to get through, like most 90s shows are. But I'm gonna get through it, and I'll probably talk about that on the next episode. I'll push myself to watch a lot of it. But thanks for listening to my movie weekend. This Stop Watching The Office podcast. Hope you hear from me soon. But thanks for listening. Bye. Peace out.